Welcome back to Chin Music, our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. The lineup today, former Twins star and former Twins broadcaster Roy Smalley, LaVelle Neal III, baseball guru and columnist at the Star Tribune. I'm Jim Souhan, also from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. This is TalkNorth.com, and we are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios, and the show is presented by OnX Maps. We also want to thank Minnesota Masonic Charities, and thank you for listening. We do appreciate it. We're getting to the point where we have more real stuff to talk about. And LaVelle, why don't you start us off today? You were at the Hot Stove event on Wednesday night. Derek Shelton was talking. What vibe are you getting from Shelton now that he, has been in the job for a little bit now and is starting to make public appearances?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I'm probably going to just write about what he's facing right now, because this is like his first real stretch of being out in public and kind of feeling the pulse for what the fan base is feeling or thinking right now. And he's got a hell of a sell job on his hands he's got to pull off here. People may not want to pay for tickets, but he's got to try to get them to pay attention, And I sensed some of that last night while at the banquet here, talking about how hard they're going to play and the style of baseball they're going to present. Falvey acknowledged that he was still trying to close in on a free agent deal with another reliever. I guess the agent texted him while he was on the dais during the event, and Falvey let that slip out. So, the questions, they weren't really hard-hitting questions. One guy just asked about, what should I be watching for this year? I want to talk about what you guys don't have and what's happened to the roster. What should I be watching this year? And Shelton was talking about hustle and desire and the young players that still have a chance to get better, and the importance of Royce Lewis and Matt Wallner, taking the next step in their development. It's a lot of that preseason optimism that you get, at this time every year. But I just think it carries more weight this particular year because fan apathy is a thing here. Fan morale's low. This has been like one of the most boring off seasons that I can remember, since coming here in 1998 to cover this team. It just wasn't just a lot of talk, just a bunch of complaining. And so I think, Falvey Falvey talked for like 20 minutes too. It was a Q&A session that went on and on and on. So it wasn't the charged atmosphere like recent years. It was just kind of more of a laid back atmosphere with them just trying to sell themselves, which I think is going to be a running theme all week here as they go around the state making appearances.
Roy, did they have anything like Twins Fest or Twins Caravan back when you were playing?
Well, the Twins Caravan was in full swing. That was kind of the heyday, I think, for the Twins Caravan, because it was still it was relatively new. I mean, they started doing that in the 60s, and then when I was there in the mid 70s to early 80s, it was still a big deal. Things change with television, radio coverage, and social media and all that kind of stuff. Back then, it was a really big deal for people to come out and meet players, and so yeah, that was definitely going on.
And LaVelle, you getting any feedback on what the Twins Caravan has been like? It's I always say there aren't many Twins fans in the middle, right? I don't think. They're either people who are really angry that they don't spend more and dislike the poll ads and complain about it publicly all the time. And then the people are like, yep. Oh man, I get to talk to Royce Lewis. Oh, Royce Lewis is on the I mean, there are still kind of some innocent Twins fans who still just like baseball and like the players. The question is, where's the percentage at this point?
I just think they've been muted over the last couple of years. I think so many negative things have happened with the franchise and being twisted around by the ownership saga that it's kind of just muted the fan base. Funny story from last night. I was sitting at a table with a guy, and he was sitting there talking about, I'm not going more than 2 games this year. I'm not going more than 2 games this year.
And that's somebody who went to this event. Wow.
Yes. And they had a raffle drawing at the end, and he ended up winning 4 tickets to go on the field for batting practice and the full pregame experience. And he's jumping up and down and screaming, yes, I want to go on the field.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was just 10 minutes ago you were bitching about how you weren't going to go to more than 2 games this year. And now you're celebrating. So gifts, free stuff, and bribes are going to be the way the Twins are going to get the fan base engaged this year.
Yeah, but not only that. I mean, I think we're pretty well conditioned to understand now that the default personality for Twins fans is and frustration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's more talk than real belief in my opinion, and that's a perfect example. I mean, you get the Twins run off 7 or 8 wins in a row to start the season, let's say, and Royce Lewis and Matt Wallner go off, and all of a sudden you're getting people in the stands. So I mean, people, you've talked about this a lot, Jim, for a long time, and it's just that for me, it's just kind of the default personality in a lot of cases for the middle ground. I agree with you that people either love the Twins or they're angry, really angry about not spending money. But I think there's a big swath, and I can't call it the silent majority in the middle. It's the cynic. It's the sarcastic majority in the middle that it really wouldn't take much to get them back at the ballpark. And I think, LaVelle, your story is perfect. I was walking through the Skyway downtown yesterday, doing a little walk around town for exercise before I stopped and brought lunch back here to my office. And walked through the Crystal Court in the IDS Center, and a guy just kind of sidles up to me as I'm walking by, almost out of the side of his mouth. It wasn't like, hey, it was just I didn't even acknowledge and recognize that he was interested in talking to me until all of a sudden he said, "So what about your Twins this year?" And I said, well, I think they need some help. And he goes, well, yeah, absolutely. And so I didn't want to stop in the middle of the Crystal Court and engage, any more than that. I just, kind of a throwaway comment. I just said, well, I hope they pitch really, really well. They got a chance. I hope they pitch really, really well. As I was walking away, he says, hope is not a strategy.
Which is true. And the other thing about this, sometimes I really envy fans because they can do the flip-flop in a split second, right? They can say,
and there's no accountability.
Yeah, they can say, Pullads suck, hate this team, I hate baseball, I'm never going to Target Field. And 2 days later, they can buy season tickets and say, I knew they were going to be good all along. And nobody's going to hold them accountable. Whereas, we in this realm, we kind of have to have some level of we are allowed to change our minds, but we need evidence to change our minds. And I kind of envy just the ability to go scorched earth or giddily happy any moment you want.
Yep.
Or anything in between, without ever a mea culpa, ever.
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about a real baseball topic. And by the way, I'll tease this at the end of these shows. We usually do a booze and blues segment where we talk about music or food or drink. We have a fun one today. What would our walk-up songs be if LaVelle and I were major league players, or if they had walk-up songs when Roy was a major league player? I would guess you're going to hear some interesting answers to that. For today, let's talk about the bullpen. Not only there are a lot of relievers still on the market, there are people the Twins traded away who are still on the market who they could re-sign. Do you have any names you think the Twins will actually go after, or do you have any idea how many free agent relievers they might sign if they sign any?
Well, sounds like they're still trying to put together a list of non-roster invites for spring training. So they haven't released it yet. And as I alluded to a few minutes ago, they are in talks with at least one reliever. Since they got agents, texting them in the middle of a banquet, about updates. So we really won't know until that, cause Brock Stewart was a minor league free agent, that was invited to spring training, and everybody saw how lively an arm he has. And he ended up being, worth the investment. I mean, he broke down a couple of times when he was healthy. he was very effective. So I think the Twins are looking to try to find lightning in a bottle a second time in that regard. I haven't heard any strong names. I mean, all the good relief candidates are pretty much snapped up. So it's going to be a reclamation project. It's going to be a guy maybe coming back from surgery. It's not going to be a name. And Falvey admitted to this after the banquet yesterday. He's always thought that bullpens are the most volatile part of a team, that they could be good one year and horrible the next. And that's motivated the Twins to not, make long-term commitments to relievers. So, which I can see their reasoning why, but it also means that they have to put a bullpen together on the fly every year. And in this case, they've lost 4 quality arms. Right now, Cole Sands will probably be the closer. Do we really want to see that? So, I think they're going to sign a couple more guys. I still think there's candidates to be converted from starters into relievers. You've heard me mention this guy's name before. I think Connor Pralip will be a factor. Sounds like Marco Rea pretty much is going to be a reliever. That was another starting prospect that reached AAA last year, who's got a live arm, has some control issues, but it sounds like they're ready to move him to the bullpen. So, but with pitchers and catchers of reporting here in the next couple of weeks, I would imagine this non-roster list of invites is going to be released here pretty soon, and we'll get an idea what they're thinking in terms of how they can reconstruct this bullpen.
I think having a real closer benefits this franchise in 2 ways if they'll go out and get one. Number one, it gives you somebody to hold it together in the 9th inning so you're not losing games and demoralizing the roster with the kind of losses that demoralize the roster. Number two, it would be a signal to the fan base that, you know what, we actually want to win. It might not be able to win, but we're actually doing something to try. Roy, what do you think the importance of a closer is for this team?
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly on, everything that you've said about it. And I will just add this. If they want to tell us that the strength of the team is the quality and the depth of the starting pitching that they have, and basically what we're all thinking as a result of what they're telling us is, well, maybe, it's like I said to this fellow on the Skyway, if they pitch really well in the starting staff, then they've got a chance to win, and you don't want to fritter it away. I guess my point is, okay, great. Then get somebody to close the games. If they're that good, get somebody to close them out.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We have breaking news here, gentlemen.
Yes.
Right when this taping began, our Bobby Nightingale just reported this. And here's a direct quote from Falvey yesterday. John Anderson was speaking at Deus, and Falvey mentioned, I'm getting a text from an agent on something we're trying to pull off to add to our bullpen. I think we're pretty close. We're getting close. Well, it's no longer close. It's done. The Twins have re-signed left-hander Taylor Rogers.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Huh.
Who spent the first 6 years of his career with the Twins and was their closer.
Well, what do you think of that signing, LaVelle?
He's kind of puttered around the last couple of years. I remember the Twins moved him to San Diego as part of Emilio Pagan, Chris Paddock trade. That's right. And since then, he's been okay. You can't have enough lefties, and I don't think Cody Funderburk is going to be could be their main lefty going into a season. And this gives Rogers a chance to kind of regain, recalibrate his career a little bit. So, he's got closing experience. I don't know if that's been communicated to him that he would have a shot to be the closer, but he's a lefty. He's had success in the league. He knows the Twins well. Falvey knows him. So, I don't see why not. If he's willing to come in and compete for a job, he's coming in on a minor league deal. So, and I guess that was the move there Falvey was alluding to last night. So of all the people, based on who's still out there, it's a reasonable signing to me.
What do you think, Roy?
Yeah, I agree. I think it is an upgrade in the bullpen immediately, and not because I think he's going to recapture some amazing closer stuff. He's always been effective against left-hand hitters. He had trouble with when he had the most trouble, at different times in his career with the Twins. It was getting right-handers out. It makes it a little bit tougher to be a left-handed exclusive guy now because of the three hitter rule in the big leagues. But I think it's an upgrade to upgrade by just addition over another addition instead of the subtractions that happen. I mean, we've been talking about they need arms. I think he's probably a big league arm. Whether he's whether he's eighth or ninth inning, I mean, who knows? That will play itself out. But I like the idea. At the very least, if there's one left-hand hitter right now in the sixth inning or seventh inning that you got to get out, then and is not going to get pinch hit for, who else are they going to bring in right now to get a tough left-hander out? I think Taylor Rogers has got a chance to do that.
Yeah, Taylor's 35 now, and he spent last year with Cincinnati and the Cubs, and actually pitched a scoreless inning for the Cubs in the postseason, but. In 50 and 2/3 innings last year, he had a 3.38 ERA with 53 strikeouts and 23 walks. Now, walks a little high because he averaged over a strikeout an inning. So, obviously, he still has stuff. So, like I said, I think it's a reasonable signing.
Yeah, it's better than not signing him. We'll see how it works out. Let's get deeper into the bullpen next week. We're also going to be talking about what happens at Twins Fest this weekend. There might be more signings. There's certainly going to be a lot more chatter as the Twins try to kick things off here. But let's get to our Booze and Blues segment. I'm interested in your answers on that. First, I want to remind you we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studio, and we want to thank Onyx Maps. Have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that, or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs? That's where Onyx Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using Onyx for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, Onyx Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download Onyx Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onyxmaps.com/hunt to get started. We also want to thank
Scott for Aquarius Home Services, wishing you a warm and cozy Happy New Year. Not so cozy? Still relying on that furnace that's, well, not so reliable? Here's the fix for 2026. Enjoy no payments and no interest for 6 months on a new high-efficiency whole home heating and cooling system. Enjoy today and don't pay until this summer. Schedule your free estimate today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Financing based on credit approval. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
All right, let's save Roy's because, Roy is the big leaguer here. LaVelle, why don't you start us off with what would your walk-up song be if you were a major league player?
That's a great question. Well, I always thought, and this is stealing from a former major league player, I've always thought his walk-up song was pretty cool just because of the opening. It's one of the more iconic openings in music history. And that's when Bernie Williams used to go to the plate and Prince's 1999 would start playing. And I always thought the beginning of that song was perfect for walk-up music. It hits you right with force at the beginning. It's catchy. And something you always remember, that down, 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 and I just think it's a great song that would get me going. Now, if you're ordering me to not copy a major league player, another song with a great opening is Mighty Love by the Spinners, and Spinners always been one of my favorite groups. And their lead singer, Felipe Wynn, which has been a well-known story, that second half of Mighty Love was just him ad-libbing the entire second half. And always thought that was a cool song with a cool opening. So those would be my two. One, if I could copy from a major leaguer, and one, if I was forced to pick a unique song. Because
of my preferences, I really only thought about two of my favorite artists. And so I'm leaving out a million great songs with great openings that would probably be better choices. But this is personal. So I'm going with my second choice would be American Girl by Tom Petty. Just love the opening riff and the way it builds. And it also goes for a while before the voice comes in. And I think it's cool to have just instrumental stuff as your walk up. But my number one pick would be probably completely obscure to most people. Yes, it's a Springsteen song. Adam Raised a Cane off of his 1978 album. And it's just one of his few songs that just starts off with just sheer raw rock guitar. It's just a dynamic, punch you in the face opening. And I just love the tone of the guitar. And so it's obscure, but that would get me ready. That would get me ready to go up and strike out in 3 pitches.
I knew it was going to be a Springsteen song. That was my bet, my odds-on favorite bet there.
What do you got, Roy?
I was asked publicly one time, if the question you just asked, if they had walk-up music back when you played, what would yours have been? And I said, well, I guess it'd have to be The Impossible Dream. But actually, when my kids asked me about that one time, I'm kind of like you guys. I want something that's grabs attention, right away. But I also like to think about, okay, I'm going up there to hit it's not just a song I would like. I'd like to really like the song, but I'd also like to have some kind. And I've thought of a bunch of them over the years about just some double entendre and different things. But truthfully, I think what I'd have done, because of when I grew up, and because of how much because I think this is the best, for me, the best song that this group ever did, and because the beginning of the song is just raw Keith Richards rhythm guitar, my song would have been "Can't You Hear Me Knocking."
Oh, that's a great opening riff.
And so, I'm up there trying to get a knock, and it starts with da 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 da, and I'm going, "Yep, that's me. That is me."
That's good. This popped another song would have put in consideration would be "Highway to Hell." AC/DC just, listen, a lot of their music isn't very deep. We know that. But in terms of writing opening riffs, they were great.
Yeah. Well, that's what they were about. They were just about just hard charging guitar riffs and one-liners throughout the song that the fans could scream out at them in concert. Yep.
Pretty good strategy. All right, we're going to wrap up this.
Absolutely.
We're going to wrap up this show with one more baseball topic. Should the average baseball fan, and certainly the average Minnesotan, be offended by the Dodgers spending all this money, or is it just the way the Dodgers perform? They're a competitive team. They're trying to win. Why wouldn't they do this? Let's start with LaVelle.
It's funny. This came up before the banquet last night. I stuck into the VIP hospitality room, which I've been known to do.
Shocking.
And struck up a conversation with Falvey, and we started talking about the Dodgers. And I said, how in the hell are the Dodgers signing all these players into deferred contracts without any interest attached to it? Because usually when you have something that's deferred, it comes at an interest charge. And Falvey's like, I'm trying to figure that out myself. That's what's making this Dodgers thing so crazy, is that they've got all these deferred contracts, but it's really, they're not paying much of a price for that, right? In terms of the interest being added on. So, if I'm a fan, I would be angry at the Dodgers, for their $350 million annual television contract that allows them to do this madness. And I'd also be mad at my team for not finding a loophole and taking advantage of deferred contracts.
What do you think, Roy?
Well, I mean, it's a bigger issue. It's the rest of the owners need to decide. I mean, all the owners need to decide if it's ultimately healthy for the sport, for this kind of spending to go on by a team that can afford it, right? I mean, and so I don't think it's on the Dodgers to say, you know what, for the good of the game, we're not going to try to make our team better. That would not fly in LA. And I mean, they are, beholden to their fans, and then, we're going to try to keep this party going, right? And we have the money. We have a radio and TV contract that allows us to do it because you all watch, because you are all interested in us, because you're great fans and want the Dodgers to win. Because of all of that, we have the money to be able to do this. So here's your reward, Dodger fans. We're just going to keep trying to win World Series for you. How can I bash that? If I'm the Dodgers, I'm a Dodger fan. We're all on the same page. This is great. It's not a Dodger issue. It's a industry issue. It's the rest of the owners' issue. And I say, spend $1 billion, do whatever it takes to force, the players and the owners into something that makes sense. In the meantime, God bless them for just what I said, try to treat their fans the right way.
Yep. Roy, you're right about that. And, for all these owners that are screaming about how we need a salary cap now, once we have a salary cap, it'll be good for the game. They also know that their franchise values are going to go up, because of it. But on the other end, they need to do everything to take care of their own house. And that goes to how they're splitting up the television revenue. Because I believe they only split like between 38 and 40% of the television revenue that each team gets. And there's been talks about increasing that percentage. And if they look at the football model and just put it all in one pot and split it equally, that would help the teams on the bottom and possibly and hopefully drag down some of the high payrolls at the top. So I don't think they're doing all they can on their end to show fiscal responsibility or promote a little more fiscal awareness.
Well, here's a thought. Instead of putting it on the players all the time, we have to have a salary cap because we can't stop the Dodgers from spending money, or the Red Sox, or the Cubs, or or the Yankees, or whoever. How about this? Let's have if you have a local radio and TV contract that is X percent, all these teams that have local radio and TV contracts that are X percent bigger than the average of everybody else, you don't get any national money. All the national money gets split between the teams that don't have that kind of local TV and radio contract. You think the Dodgers would go with the Yankees? They go, no. We need our share. Well, okay, then now you understand how the players feel.
Very well said. Let's talk more about this. I think there's some more meat on that bone. We'll talk more about it here in the future, especially before spring training starts. If you're going to Twins Fest this weekend, enjoy. Look up LaVelle. He'll be hanging out in the bar.
I'll be there. I'll be there on Saturday, 2 to 4.
Oh, cool. Good deal. Well, look up Roy. Look up LaVelle. Roy will be the one not drinking, I think. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see how the weekend goes.
Hey, you want a booze and blues segment next week? Let me go do my thing.
I know. You're just doing research. Nobody works harder at that aspect of the job than my friend LaVelle. All right, guys.
It's called immersion, friend. Immersion.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.